Hi, today I want to talk about long distance relationships and do they work? For me, I have to say they do, but in the time I've been out in the Philippines and the amount of people I know, some of them are like for months, some of the people I've known for years. But one of the things that I would say there does seem to be a high failure rate compared to success rates. And some of this is down to the people themselves, and some of it is finances and other issues like families or manipulation. Um, some of the things I know that people have done, I find a bit concerning why they would be doing it. I've known people to keylog their girlfriends and wives when they've gone back out of the Philippines. I find that is a bit of a no-no because if you have that much doubt in a relationship, then why are you in the relationship? Um, if the, because everything has to be based on trust. If you've got doubts, for me, I'm one for confronting problems rather than creating another one. And obviously, the longer you leave things, the more they fester. But myself, I've been with my wife since 2007. We met prior to that only via text and phone, which was for 9 months before I even met in person. I spent a bit of time with my wife, but I've been abroad in the UK at times for up to 8 months, um, doing stints for up to 3.5 months at a time prior to that. And right now, I'm actually in the UK. My wife and kids are in the Philippines, and I have no security issues with my wife. I know other people are paranoid about money with their wives. I've left like over 1 million pesos. I've left like over 20,000 pounds, $25,000, whatever. I have no problems with my wife. Um, that's why I find some of this stuff a bit weird because I know some people try to control the purse strings to control their wives and things. I don't understand it. The same as when people send money to their partners where they haven't met yet, they don't know them, then complain months later that everything just fell apart. But the fact is, a lot of that is like grooming. There's like a lot of people online who are doing it all to just make money. They're not interested in a relationship. They're running like 7, 10 guys per girl. It's an industry that has blossomed out of guys looking for a partner. Now, I don't know how you safeguard yourself against that. I never had that problem, but I've known guys that actually found out they were dating girls. The funny thing is, when I seen the photograph, I instantly seen that it was a ladyboy, which is a little bit amusing for me. But then when you mention it to the guys, they suddenly realize they've been sending them money every month, and they didn't get what they expected. And there's been cases in Manila where the guy, most recent one I read was a French guy turned up to the airport and the girl wasn't there to meet him. The reason the girl wasn't there is because it was a guy, and some relative made a phone call to say that it's a guy, but they still want to meet. Blah blah. I don't know what to do with those situations. I simply wouldn't get into one, but I do feel for some of the guys because a lot of it is based on trust. Like I said, if you haven't got trust, you haven't got anything. That's why I say if you haven't met the people, you don't really understand them. You don't know them. You don't know the manipulation that goes on with some of the partners. When I say partners, I'm not just talking about between you and them. I'm talking about some of them are uh, partners in crime almost, where they might still have a boyfriend. They might be getting manipulated by relatives to do this sort of stuff. And you can find that the only way to find out is actually getting there and try and get in the loop with other people that understand how these things work. Because when you've been there that long, as long as I have, I've seen so many things which you wouldn't think in the Western world would probably happen, but in the Philippines, you'll be surprised. There's so much stuff that's just off the chart, strange. You know, it's the sort of stuff that they were in fiction novels. Um, but it's even led to suicides and things out there. That's why I would say be careful, but at the same time, there's the positive side. If you got your head screwed on and you got to meet them in person, you spend a bit of time to learn how to understand them, how their families work, the commitments, the problems that go with dating people from outside your own culture, you can start to pull things together so that it's actually a proper relationship. Now, the other side of this being, getting back to the distance relationship, is communication. Communication is paramount to whatever relations, whatever creed, color, or what, you know. If you're apart from a partner and you're both from the same town or whatever, communication is key to keeping everything working. With me, when I first met my wife, I was spending up to £200 a month on text messages when I was working. When I say working, I mean driving to work and things like that. Not actually when I'm actually physically at my desk. It was things just to keep communication open, but it wasn't in the working day. It was more stuck in traffic, sat having lunch, that sort of thing. It's not like I was skipping work. But that now is much easier. There was no Skype back then. There was no Skype on a cell phone. Cell phones were phones. They didn't do a lot else. But now the technology's moved on. You get yourself a nice little tab. You can have video chats, and you can sit and communicate all day long. You can sit in your car, set your tab up, so you could actually talk to each other. I wouldn't advise having the video on because I doubt that's legal, but they can sit and watch you driving your car. You can't sit and watch them. But you could switch it on before you set off, and you could still just be talking away. Your wife or girlfriend can watch you, and you keep the lines of communications open. But the technology is so advanced now that I was sat at the start of this year before I came out of the Philippines, and I was sat working on my laptop, and I realized something, that even when we were apart, me and my wife, we still have more communication than a lot of couples that I know. Because we generally try to spend as much time as possible with each other because we have that distance. When I'm home, we'll always try to be together. We try to do things together. We're quite a tight couple because we know we'll go out for dinner quite regular. Date nights are a good thing. Even if you're not in a long distance relationship, it's good to keep your relationship alive. But we generally try to keep in touch with each other, even if we're around the house, because we have internet all over the place, Wi-Fi's. So even if my wife's downstairs, she's got communication with me all the time. And I was thinking, I was sat working on my laptop, yet my wife is busy in the kitchen doing something. Even though we were doing completely different things, it would actually be like when I was sat in Oman or sat in the UK before, sitting doing my paperwork on the computer, because I'm not watching my wife. My wife's busy doing something in the kitchen, whatever, but we're talking continuously. The technology now means it's much easier to do it. Like this, you know, you can sit in video chat. It's like my wife's asleep now. I can sit and do a video tonight, send it, and she'll get it when she gets up in the morning. Those communication lines are the things you really need to keep going in a distant relationship, because that's what keeps the strength going. That you're a person, you know. If you're calling once a week, those bonds start to break, especially if they got other things that can interfere with the relationship. I'm not saying all people are like that. I mean, I could be quite happily left alone most places because When I'm not at home, I'm focused on work. I'm a bit of a slave to the desk. So I'm always busy doing something. I'm not like a lot of other guys who go to the bars and stuff. I'm not interested. I was a I did enough drinking and stuff when I was much younger, and as I got older, I've started to chill out and find other things to do. I'd much rather sit and do a tutorial or something than have a few beers. It's just I think it's my age group now. I must be getting old, but it's those sort of things that keep the relationship going, but also talking. Now, there's no point having the communication devices if you don't make an effort where it's important. I've had issues before where I'm not happy about something and I'll talk about it. In the same way, I'll make sure I ask the person, it could be my wife, it could be somebody that's doing some work for me. Is there a problem? Is there something wrong? How's things going? Is there anything I should know? Because there are certain things, especially in Philippine society, they won't tell you unless you really push for the questions to be answered. Because they'll avoid them. They don't see it as being an immediate problem. For example, your car's engine blew up. They know it's blown up. You're not going to fix it until you get back. So I won't tell you till you get back. Yet I would want to know now because I know I need to stick another $1,000 in the bank to pay for the engine before I go home. That's the sort of things you want to be aware of. But you need to explain that anything that's going on you want to know about, not to hide things, and that you don't accept people lying to you, and you're generally trying to make a solid relationship as if you're actually living together. And the foundations are exactly the same. I know some of the guys are a bit different to me. They'd be a bit concerned about their wife going out, but my wife meets up with schoolmates and stuff sometimes for, all the girls get together because they work abroad. When they go home, it might be once every couple of years. There's no way I would stop my wife doing that stuff. I'm not insecure. I can trust my wife. In the same way, it's good that guys give their wife or girlfriends a bit more leeway. At the same time, if they're going out drinking or stuff, it gets back to, is that a real relationship going on? Because if they're going out drinking and things like that, I used to go drinking myself, but like I said, my drinking was mainly when I was much, much younger, and it was around a local bar that was actually involved in the ownership previously. So it's more of a social thing. It's not out hunting down women and things like that. I have no interest. I'm happily married. Prior to my wife, I was with the same partner for 11 years. So it's not a case of the situations that sometimes come up, but that's why I would say I would question somebody that was going out with the girls to certain places every week, or those shouldn't really be going on, because culturally it's not really an acceptable thing. Girls going out drinking and clubbing in the Philippines, it's not really something that most people do. It's sort of frowned upon. So I would say I'd have a question of doubt on that, if that's what they were doing, or every Friday night they seem to be going sick or some other lame excuse for not being around, then I would question it. But I would say distance relationships can work, do work, but I will say that I know more people have failed in distance relationships, long distance relationships, than have had success. And not only like with Philippines, UK, because my wife is currently 7,203 miles away from me at the moment. But I know people in the UK where we worked, a long time ago. I used to work the roads and things. I could be gone for 2 weeks at a time. And I know most of the guys I work with are divorcees because they're never home. All the work is up and down the motorways, up and down roadways. They are never never home. If they go back, it's for the weekend. Then they'll be back out on the road for 2 weeks, things like that. Unless you get something that's very close, which never seems to happen, you're not really functioning as a good parent. It's one of the reasons I moved away from that part of the business I was working in, because it's okay if you're a single guy, plenty of money, all accommodation, everything's paid. You just work like a machine. You can party wherever you are. But for me, I'm a pretty laid back guy. I'm quite happy with the family life. I like time with my kids. I like time with my wife. I'm not interested in going out partying. I'm not interested in being away from home too much if I can help it. But at the same time, also aware going away from home, you can actually leap forward financially compared to working locally. That's why since about 2000, I've been doing this for, it's before that, 1998 I think, is when I started working nationally and internationally. So I've been doing this for about 14 to 16 years, on and off, and it works financially, but you really need that strong relationship. And like I said, I try not to be away as much as I used to be. Right now I'm going to be away until I can get my wife and kids to either come to me or I end up going back there. But either way, it's going to be financially built up to progress our life. That's how I justify how I do it, because we progress at a much faster rate than most people. Like last year, my income last year, just for a rough figure, was over £100,000. This year, it's gonna be probably about the same once I get everything kick-started, once the weather changes. Right now, we've got bad weather in the UK, bad weather in the Philippines, bad weather in the US. I'm not doing anything till the weather clears up. But the fact is, long-distance relationships is part of the type of business I'm in. But also, I know many other people. I've got a friend who's a taxi driver, for example. His wife is in the Philippines. They're apart for long times, but still together. I've got friends that have worked and lived internationally, where their partners travel with them. Their relationships still working. I had a friend whose wife had been actually out of Dubai for I think 5 years. He's only just come back to the UK himself, but he was flying his wife in for holidays and things like that. But they're matured, and that's a big part of distance relationship, is having the maturity to realize that both need to be mature, because if you're jealous, paranoid and things like that, it will not work. In fact, you're just going to cause yourself stress, and you're going to cause your partner stress. Both of you are not going to benefit from a long distance relationship. You're both going to be unhappy. All I can say about in that situation, or if you're going to become somebody in a long distance relationship, is sit and take a long hard look at your life, your partner. Is this something you really want to do? How committed are you to it? Because the first 6 months, if it isn't 100%, I can guarantee you'll be split up. It sounds a bit harsh, but the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of people assume it's nice and easy. Like working in oil rigs, for example. You think, oh, that's great, the wife's going to love the money. She might do, but she also might love your neighbor. So you've got to weigh up the options, and they're not always going to be pretty, they're not always going to be nice. But if it works out, it's great. I I've got a great wife, got great kids. I can't really complain about anything. I enjoy life, but long distance relationships, not easy. But if you're committed to it and your partner's committed to it, you can make it happen. But also explaining why you're doing it. Because I know back in the UK, I'm back in the UK. I'll just say this very quickly and then I'll stop the video. But a lot of people tell me they can't find jobs in the UK. I found a job within 2 weeks. In fact, I found 5. Now, there's one big factor that I have that a lot of people I find aren't as flexible with. I'll work anywhere in the world. That's the first one. Second one is I'll work days and nights. I'll do weekends, I'll do days, I'll do nights, I'll do on call. I'm about as flexible as you can get a person to be in a business, because I know the type of work I do. You've got to have that flexibility if you want to progress in business. Okay, that's thanks for watching.